The Red House, situated in the heart of Port of Spain, has a legacy as the home of democracy in Trinidad and Tobago and contains within its walls a remarkable history. The historical significance of the building was further enhanced when, during recent restorative works, there was a discovery of archaeological relics and even evidence of indigenous burials. In order to preserve this history, careful consideration was given to the renovation of the building, which led to the Restoration Committee employing the services of an American architectural company to carry out specific restoration and preservative functions on the building.
Evergreen is a specialty contractor based in New York City in the United States, and we specialize in the restoration and conservation of decorative arts in buildings. So we work on ornamental plaster, decorative painting, works of art such as murals on canvas and on walls. We've worked in Port of Spain at Queen's Royal College, and recently in the United States we've worked at the US Capitol and the United Nations building. What's interesting to me is that the red plaster that's at Queen's Royal College is here at Red House, and it gave this building its distinctive red color before it was painted over. Our objective is to determine historic colors used in the interior of the building, and that would include paint on plaster and possibly wood, or we found that a lot of the wood surfaces were originally stained or clear-coated, so you were meant to see the grain of the wood. And we're also tasked with understanding the exterior color scheme, basically anything having to do with the original color of the building as it was articulated after 1903. So for the finishes analysis and determining the historic colors, we use two main techniques. One is collecting paint samples from the walls and ceiling and other features, and we'll examine those to determine the different color schemes over time. And we also conduct what we call exposure windows in place. And an exposure window is when we remove layers of paint a bit at a time so we can see on the wall what different colors and finishes were placed. Another goal of this project is to preserve the plaster molds that were created previously by Evergreen. In the south chamber, the ceiling was dismantled and the ornamental plaster pieces were cast, meaning we made replica molds, I should say, for those pieces so that in the future we can cast replicas of pieces that have been damaged and then place them back in the south chamber exactly as they were originally. I think the most interesting thing about the Red House to me is the exterior red plaster. The red color you see today is achieved through multiple layers of paint, which has a tendency to fade over time, as any paint will. But the red color that this building has was originally imparted by a very deep red plaster. It's very beautiful material. The next step for me is I examine the paint samples under the microscope and I cut them in cross-section, and that way I can see the paint layers one over the other, so I can determine what colors were used over time in the Red House.
The Red House Restoration Project has uncovered many findings, and the team at Evergreen's own meticulous investigation will add to the details that will help in restoring the Red House to its former majesty.